Welcome, my fellow MERP enthusiasts and Lord of the Rings people and RPG brigaders and yahoos and those kind and thoughtful gentlemen, ladies who've subscribed to this channel. This is the garage where my work truck is usually kept when it's not in use. That's the greasy, ugly-looking beast behind me. A bunch of portable cleaning units over here, Hotsy units, kind of power washers on steroids to be my best way of describing them. Sometimes, the fat man, he's got to make do with what he has available to him. And in this particular scenario, this is one of those times. The timing and hours haven't given me a whole lot of free time during the mornings. And the only times that God bless my wife, but she can be a total terror at times when it interferes with what her routine is for the day. And she doesn't quite understand this hobby of ours and never has. And I tried to involve her in it many years ago, and some people just don't have the calling or the attraction to it. On the other hand, she has plenty of her own hobbies, and some reason or another, those are okay, but this one here, because she doesn't understand it, is a waste of time. So in this particular case, I've got a number of reviews I want to get caught up on, and we're going to take advantage of the shop. It's late in the evening. I just finished my day's jobs. It is what it is, right? So welcome to the greasy world of the Fat Man. This is the Raiders of Cardolan. It's a module. Like a lot of ladder modules when they came out, it was geared toward typical, AD&D type of modules, layout and style. There's not a lot of depth to the region that it's located in. It's mostly geared to the mini adventures that are in it, and some are somewhat loosely linked. The setting is in an area of basically untamed wilderness or lightly populated and settled region of southwestern Arnor, south of Tharbad. They got a map here on the back. I've showed this a couple times. I've recently reviewed Tharbad, so you get an idea what Cardolan. That's one of the three splinter states of Arnor, and in this particular case, these are pirates for the most part. It's not all pirates. I mean, there is a section here introduces you to the Black Cape and the Baffirin of the Rastborn, which is the name of this really deep and dark jungle-like forest. They're related to the Woes, the Drudane in the up just north of Minas Tirith. If you remember your stories and your movie, well, they didn't show them in the movies, but in the novels, the Woes, the Men of the Woods, helped Theoden and the Rohirrim to get through by an old forgotten stone-right road that they knew about and the rest of the folks didn't, which allowed Rohan to steal a march on the forces of Sauron and put themselves behind the outer perimeter of the Sauron's northern forces, which gave them the surprise and advantage they needed to more or less take and carry the field during the battle. And like I said, that's pretty much history we all know. This particular location is set, there's some dealings with Petty-dwarfs, and I'm going to have to do a thing on them because a lot of people don't know exactly what they are, and it's kind of hard to describe them in a brief moment. The first encounter is dealing with what basically they think is some sort of spirit of the woods, and it's you're tapped to go rescue somebody. It's a damsel in distress kind of thing, and you end up finding that there's a little bit more going on here than what the locals would like to know about. The other major encounter in this one, of course, is the Sea Raiders. It's titled Chapter 5, The Sea Raiders at Minas Thonfalon. Typical of ice, plenty of maps, plenty of NPC bios, really good maps here. Gondor is a seafaring nation, and so were the Numerians before them, their ancestors. Arnor was not as seafaring as its southern neighbor, its southern brother was. The You don't see it in the movies, in the books. It's briefly touched upon. There's mentions of it. There's that brief encounter with Aragon and the dead and the army of the dead with the Corsairs from Umber, but you really don't get a whole lot of what they're about and how much history is really behind the scenes. So it's not totally surprising that quite a few of the modules that they have were linked to piracy or waterborne threats, as well as the large rivers and big, huge bays that dot the landscape. So, that's kind of what we're looking at here is not so much great, like I said, in depth, but we're talking, level 3 to 5, not too bad. You could easily run one of these things. And I have, like I've said in the past, I have pirated of stories and encounters out of these books for other games that I've ran, mostly because of time constraints, but because there's also a lot of good material here. And storyline is storyline. The mechanics you can adapt. The storyline is universal for the most part. A little bit of twisting and tweaking can fit in just about any game genre that you got. And I make that argument several times in the past. I even did a recent blog on the concept of, to crossing genres to a limited degree by taking the material that you spend a lot of time and effort to purchase and to read and to enjoy and collecting dust up here on the shelf and utilizing it in more modern campaign and more modern game systems that you're using today. Otherwise, for those of you who recycle this stuff by selling it off or giving it away to other people, good for you. But I think there's a larger number of us who have a tendency to clutch onto these things. For some reason, we think we're going to go back and relive the past, right? And in some cases, it doesn't happen. And in my case, I'm reliving it by talking about it to you guys. So that is what the nature of the beast, right? So Chapter 6, or Part 3 of the module, is dealing with Into the Meur Tol and the Petty-dwarfs. In a brief, this is a really small subclass branch of the dwarves that are deformed and cursed in many ways. They're crippled physically and mentally. They have issues. It seems that they have a curse on them to eventually dwindle away and die. Ironically enough, that there are, while that is the theme, it seems like there's a number of these that they keep cropping up in, and this is one of them where you've got another petty dwarf in his little tribe or what's left of it, and you've got to go figure out what's going on and try to encounter these guys and deal with them. Jan says, a mere 11 miles to the northeast of Nanstret lies the lair of the petty dwarfs that the Baffin refer to as the Meur Tol, or the Great Hole. It might as well be 100 times further away for all these two people that Bashford know of each other. Besides those who reside there, only persons on the Cape who are aware of the proper name of Meur Tol, or Bar in Adun, is the house of Iban, are Belwyn and evil priests with her. There is a conflict between the Baffin and the petty dwarfs soon after their long fathers came to the Black Cape, but this was so long ago even the legends have been forgotten. All those remember is the ancient grudge. The Baffin do not come near the Meur Tol, and they instantly slay any petty dwarfs they catch. Even though several petty dwarfs have been taken in the last decade, few have been caught, for they do not stray far from the immediate vicinity save at greatest need. The endless years of isolation in Bar and Iban are about to be rudely interrupted. And it goes into dealing with that. And I think what they're doing is the petty dwarves have been paying these raiders to acquire slaves. People to work the fields for them, to look after their basic needs, because as a race they themselves are no longer capable of sustaining themselves, and they're dwindling. Their numbers, I think, are less than a dozen, and they haven't had a live successful birth in some time. So Your group is going to follow the leads and investigate this and either put it into the group or the petty dwarves all together, or free the slaves, or find the treasure, or whatever, or whatever. Yeah. I get a bit strange after I've been working all day and jumping in and out of this damn thing behind me. And my back hurts and a little hungry and kind of annoyed that I'm stuck in the garage doing this. But who hasn't had to find a more peaceful place to go do what we got to do to accomplish what their aims are? And that is the goal today, right? So, Raiders of Cardolan, you get your hands on it. It's worth having. If you don't, okay, just another rare piece of Chotsky.